We'll get started in just a minute. I really appreciate y'all being here. I'm really excited to be back reunited with some of you too. It's been a while. Hi, Hannah. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Hey. Give everybody a minute or two more to pop on. And I just want to start out by giving thanks. I want to give thanks for you all taking your precious time to be with me. I've wanted to do this for a really long time. And you know how that is when you're checking in and you're asking for everything to be in alignment to share certain information. And the time is finally here. So I'm really honored to be in this space with you right now. And also, I know what it takes to carve out time to be present for something like this. So I just really want to give thanks to you all for doing that. I had to change it because I was like revving my engine, last weekend. I was like I want to give this information so bad. And it was not in alignment for me to do that. And I'm starting with this slideshow, but we're going to kind of call our energy back to us first of all, before we get into things. But the reason that I have this slideshow up, this particular screen is, did you know that you can receive a transmission from gemstones and crystals just from looking at them, just from visually connecting with them like this? So I wanted you to just fully take these beautiful stone allies in, because we're going to be talking about specific layouts for the new human. But I just wanted you to appreciate and enjoy that you're receiving this transmission already at this time. And what I would like to do first is have you all take a nice deep breath with me and just fully relax. Let go of whatever you had to do to get here, all the cares of the day. Let's just let that go with our breath. And call back to you all of the caring and nurturing and kindness and love that you have given out. This has been something new that I have learned, that you can draw back to you everywhere that you have been caregiving, everywhere that you have been kind, everywhere that you have helped anyone at any time. Call all of that back to you right now. And that does not take it away from them. That's the beauty of how infinitely resourced we truly are. And in this moment, you get to benefit. You get to be the recipient of all of the love and all of the caring and kindness and thoughtfulness that you have given out. So I want you just to use your imagination and imagine what that feels like to bring back into your own heart center all that you have given and be replenished in this moment by feeling how good it feels to be loved by you. And I find this to be so groundbreaking, because in the old paradigm, in the old world, many of us would have had the thought that, well, we can't take it back. We can't take it away from the person we've given it to, right? That is not the energy. That is not the timeline that we are on now. So just enjoy that for a minute. See certain places on the timeline where you've really given and you've served and you've nurtured. And now you're going to enjoy just how good it feels to be loved by you. And as always, through everything that we ever do, bring your attention to the palm chakras, the chakras in your hands. If at any point during our time together, you feel drawn to place your hands in a certain part of your body, let this time that we're spending together be a self-care for you. Let it be a transmission. By the time you get done with this work that we're doing tonight or this afternoon, wherever you are, I want you to be better for it. I want you to leave this portal that we're creating together really restored and energized. And what a lovely serendipitous time that we're approaching the equinox, the time of the balance of the day and the night, the dark and the light. And we're all about resurrection at this time of the year. So set an intention for the days to come to be a personal resurrection for you. I definitely feel like this past year has been a huge resurrection and spirit retrieval for me, as I'm going to get into further with you all. But the first thing that I want to do is I want to read to you some of the foreword that I wrote in Dale's latest book, Simply Shaman. And I think most of you know who I'm talking about when I say my friend Dale Stacy. But I'm going to read you a bit of the foreword that I wrote about dimensions, just to give you a little bit of background about what we're doing here tonight. And I'm skipping the part where I tell how I met them and how they changed my life and all that. And I'm getting right to the dimensions. And speaking of dimensions, we come to the topic of this book, the third compilation in Dale's series. Dale was ahead of his time with his dimensional teachings and training. He tried his best to impart to us how to be interdimensional shamans, and we finally got it, but it wasn't easy. During the first live class format, we would sometimes get stuck in our third dimensional ways, and we just couldn't get it yet. Thankfully, all of us wanted to step out of the chaos and division of third dimensional living enough that we kept working at it. The concepts of dimensions was not easy to grasp. But my feeling is that you, dear reader, will now embrace the wisdom imparted in these sacred pages with ease and liberation. In my 27 years as a healing practitioner, I have realized how we, both the client and the therapist, hop in and out of dimensions many times during one healing session. There are moments when we can deeply connect to the chakra system and the meridians. And then there are times when we visualize and we can see a particular organ or system of the physical body. Other moments during a healing session might include connecting with a loved one who has crossed over or receiving messages from an ancestor on the other side. Your mind might then wander to your grocery list for a second, popping you back into a 3D experience. There are other times when higher dimensional beings give their assistance in the session, and you might connect with your spirit guides or the spirit guides of the client. All of these things can happen simultaneously during one session. I have finally learned to enjoy the dimensional ride and try to not force the journey in any certain direction. This is my suggestion for you. Enjoy the adventure with childlike wonder and the excitement of possibilities, not needing to have it all figured out in a linear way. When we try too hard to operate from the place of logic and ego, we catapult ourselves back into lower dimensions. But I have also learned that it is okay when we do that too. There is no judgment or negativity when it comes to dimensional living. It is all choice and free will to choose and create as we wish. All the dimensions are useful. There is not a finish line or a destination. The more we accelerate our consciousness, the more we transcend time and we operate on an experience to experience basis instead of on a 3D linear timeline. So, oh man, okay, so this is such a fascinating thing to try to construct into a linear experience for you, that I can impart information in an organized way, because I've been wanting to do this for so long. So every now and again, I'm going to look at the chat, and if you all have had questions about the little videos that I posted out of the Next Level Healer modules that kind of explained when I had my first encounter with chakra removal, or as they call it, chakra removal, we're gonna kind of unpack that term a little bit more. But these are some of the things that we're going to discuss tonight. Why have our chakra systems changed? What are astral implants or overlays or interface systems? And why is it important that we know our own energy anatomy? So what is different about this class that I'm giving you here is I'm going to give you some references for different styles of imparting this information, and I'm going to give you resources, but all of my experience with this is direct. I did not learn any of what I'm going to impart with you. I have experienced it, and 2022 was the most life-changing year that I have ever had. And I want to invite you right now back to June of last year, when we went through the 6-6 portal. Okay, it was actually like a 666. Many of us uncovered and discovered that it was an unhexing time, a time to unbind us from spells and hexes that had been going on in our lives. So I am so thrilled to share with you that, I want to make sure I have all my notifications off here. I'm thrilled to share this information with you and to tell you that we went through some portals last year that completely liberated us to work with energy in a different way. So a lot of the things that you had been learning before, and a lot of the things that you've even been doing in your healing practices, are going to be easier now, and they're going to make a whole lot more sense after what we went through. Each one of those portals of last year leading up to the Lion's Gate, that was the 8-8 portal, accelerated our ascension process to the point that we can do things now with our energy centers, with our energy body, that were not as easy to do before. We can understand things now that were not as easy to understand before. So you can imagine, if you've listened to those little videos of mine, of my backstory back to like 2018 to 2019, when I was having this really weird process happen to my own chakra system. And then the right people were coming into my life, because we all live a very magical life. Everybody on this call with me is volunteers, as Dolores Cannon talks about. You all know you're here to make this world a better place and to accelerate consciousness. Yes, you know that's why you're here. And so it's go time, people. We have been like swimming through peanut butter, like in the lower densities, and knowing our purpose work, knowing I know I'm here to help humanity, and I know I'm here to raise consciousness, but things were so shrouded. So when we went through the 666 portal, and 666, just like a whole lot of other things, is a beautifully healing numerological energy. It is a power energy, and there's reasons that none of that has been available information. There's big time reasons why all of that was hidden and covered for the powers that have been, that not are anymore. that wanted to keep control. And that's what you're going to see in a lot of what I'm going to impart with you tonight. What I want to instill in you more than anything, though, is hope. Because everything that I'm sharing with you is about the fact that we are no longer being farmed as a commodity through the energy of our chakra system. It is time for you to reclaim the energy that is yours in your beautiful chakra system and to utilize it to the fullest. Now, that was happening to me, especially when I found out that there was a contraption, so to speak, an interface system, weird astral thing on me that was especially difficult to remove at my heart center and at my third eye, at the Ajna 6th chakra. Those two places of strength in me were being outsourced to somewhere. And I give George Kavassilis as a resource, but I was so gently putting his resource in the Next Level Healer course content. Back when I released the Next Level Healer for the first group that went through, I was like, because I knew something didn't fully resonate. Like, he wasn't a teacher that I was like, yes, I fully back this energetically, even though I said through the whole time, I said, his book, Our Universal Journey, really does explain a lot about how we are power centers. We are like windmills. We're these power generators. Okay. Well, more advanced beings have known how to farm that energy. And what I can tell you firsthand that happened to me when I went from lying in Shavasana, like in yoga class at the Y, and my root center just kind of unfurled and I didn't know what was happening. And I was like, is my chakra going away? And from that first one changing all the way up to the crown and a natural removal of an overlay. And then the only ones that didn't come off without some work was my 6th chakra and my heart. And those are my two go-to, the ones that I use in my work, I would say the most. It was painful. The contraption, I'm going to say, since I don't have like a full-on understanding of how that was put into my energetic field, the only thing I can tell you is I didn't know the difference until it came off. To be all of a sudden, I have access to me in a much greater way. I have a lot more capacity to use my power, my love, my psychic abilities. And the funny thing about it is you don't know, like if it's always been like that, you don't know. But I'm not imparting this information to you in it's us against them kind of way, because I want you to think about where we live. We farm other life forms all the time. We use other creatures as resources all the time. And when you really own yourself as a dimensional being, that you're all of it, it's so much more empowering than the way that good old George in his book, Our Universal Journey, even though he spelled out a lot for me that I needed the details for, it wasn't the complete story. And that's why I'm not even sharing this information myself until now. I have the complete story for you. That has taken a long time. The other thing I want you to tell that part of your mind that wants to do it right and wants to get it done and wants to check off all the boxes and be a good healer and do all the things. I want to bring this to your attention. When this whole transformative process started with my chakra system changing, I wasn't doing anything. One happened, like I said, lying on my mat in yoga, in a really, really empty space. The next one happened sitting beside Steve at his church, yet again, in a really, really empty space where I was just simply being. And that's the amazing thing about ascension. There's this, I'm not going to go quite there yet. There's this balance, this dance between you meditate regularly, you do everything in your power to feel good and raise your frequency, raise your vibration all the time. That's your daily work. And then the big moments of change happen when you're not, when you're being still and you're emptying out. You're not trying. I can firmly attest to that. So it's like, yes and yes. Yes, our job is to love as much as we possibly can while we're here and to feel good. Those are the two things that you need to be working on, not the old timeline of I got to know everything and I got to do all the things and I got to check all the boxes. So that's the first thing that I wanted to tell you all as you looked at these stones. For those of you who have continued to pop on, I'm going to say this again. This is how easy transmissions and activations and healing can be now. These are my buddy Bradford's stones that he uses in universal white time healing. Okay, so this is one of his own personal layouts for the new chakra system. And what we're not going to do tonight is learn somebody else's ways of doing anything, because this is my opportunity to put the power in you and fortify you that you have everything that you need, that you are well resourced. All I want you to do with this visual is just take it in and let these crystals work on you in the way that they want to, because you are actually receiving a transmission from them. So this is a crystal layout diagram for the new chakra system from Bradford's teachers in universal white time healing. So someone told him, this one goes here, this one goes here, peridot is here, topaz is here, gold is at the heart, the diamond is at the 0 point chakra, okay? And check out those moonstones for the palms. We are actually going to talk about how you can affect, alter, and create matter with your palm chakras. That's what I'm here to excite you about tonight. So this is a diagram of stones that he was taught with. These are the ones he could afford. And they're the same. It's the same layout. But what I want to emphasize to you right now, I'm just showing you these because I've got some pictures throughout the slides of different people's diagrams of the new chakra systems, right? It's not going to be like that for you. Some people right now are compressing the out of body chakras, like the 0 point that we're going to get into that's below the feet, and that's called the earth star, and then the soul star, the first one that's above the head, the 8th chakra. Some people are beginning to compress those into their body. Some people are not. You at this point are not going to be able to take a textbook and have it tell you about your energy, about your centers, about your anatomy, because you are changing so rapidly. There are no textbooks, there are no resources for this. Maybe we'll all create one for people to read in the future because of the work that we're doing right now. But this work that I'm showing you now, there is nothing like this is happening as we speak. So the first thing that I would like for you to do is just close your eyes, and we're going to focus below your feet. Okay, so you might have already felt your earth star chakra It is a major energy center. Typically, it is out of the body, 18 inches to 3 feet below the soles of your feet. So I just want you to connect there. People can tell you it might be this color, it might look like this or that. What I want you to do right now is I want you to feel it for a minute. This is the truth. How you feel is what's true for you. And most of the time, with these intelligent, alive, and aware energy centers, all it takes is putting your awareness to them and giving them some attention. And then they begin to teach you because they are alive, aware, and responsive. They are just waiting for you to work with them and love them and appreciate them. So as you feel below your feet, I want you to just enjoy the fact that you are so well resourced by this chakra. You might have never given this chakra any attention, or this chakra might be really apparent to you and in your consciousness already. This chakra is the spiritual anchor for your energy body. This is the place that your soul can freely express itself through using matter. Okay? It connects you to the ley lines of your origin point on the planet, of your bloodline, the origin of your bloodline. You have this rapid communication system through the ley lines of the earth, which are the meridians of her. So just imagine that right now. You can connect to all the precious metals, the gemstones, the heavy metals. This is where your soul expresses itself through matter. And so the Earth Star is an anchor. It is an anchor for you. Take another minute with your eyes closed or whatever feels good. See if you notice any warmth that you feel, like a warm sensation when you put your awareness on it. And then when you're ready to come back, I'm going to share a little story with you about one of the first clients that I ever felt this on many, many years ago when I was doing energy healing sessions. So there have been some clients over the years with me that their Earth Star chakra would be so activated, way more than mine. So I could feel theirs more than mine. And I actually have a client that I wanted her to come on tonight, but she couldn't. She had too many family things going on. But she was the most vivid, the most powerful one that I can think of, where I could just come up with her feet at the, her soles of her feet facing out at the end of the table. And then I could come up to below her feet. And there it was. I mean, it was so big and it was so powerful, and I could hold it. And as soon as I would start holding her 0-point chakra, she would get really hot. And we had our most profound healing sessions with me just like holding the chakra that's like outside of her body. And her body would teach me so much about the center, because I didn't have an activation of my Earth Star yet. I didn't have all my pieces of the chakra until this December. Okay. And that's another reason that I can finally share all this information with you. I didn't have it. I can tell you right now that since I gathered and scooped up a part of this energy center for me at Serpent Mound, if you've looked at any of the information I've shared about how I landed at Serpent Mound, connected to my bloodline and my origin point on the planet, which that's where it is. So not only was I born in Ohio, my bloodline started there. And what we're going to talk about is you have 2 DNA origin points in your energy body. The Earth Star is one, And I'm going to come back to this. The soul star, the 8th chakra, is your spiritual anchor. So the earth star anchors you through gravity to the magnetic core of the earth. Okay. And through the earth star, not only do you have this like pathway through the ley lines to like access all your ancestral abilities and all your strengths, the places on planet Earth that your ancestors have had a lot of power and have had a lot of strength, you can draw from that. You can literally like nurse, like pull that up through the 0 point chakra. Not only that, you can access the precious metals, all of the gems, and you can work with them as your friends and family. When this chakra is healthy, you're going to have a direct personal friendship, relationship, a kinship with the mineral kingdom. This chakra holds your wealth, worthiness, and deserving aspects. It can look black or brown, like you'll see that in some diagrams. Some of the ones that I'm going to show you have that. It can also be aqua. It can also look like the water that covers planet Earth when it's like really healthy and strong. That's another thing where I'm going to tell you, I'm not here to tell you what your Earth star looks like. Okay. That is not what I want. I don't want to teach other people's information anymore. Because if any of you have ever trained with me in energy work, you know what I always say about, I don't care what modality it is, it's a human. A human put that information together for you to have some foundational skills to work off of. But I think it's our job, it's our responsibility to use our intuition to see if it's true for you, because no one's energetic anatomy is going to be just like yours. Gone are the days that you try to get your information about your chakra system from a book, because they're not going to be valid anymore. And Greg and I were talking about Chat GPT, you know, the newest thing, how you can put in like, tell me about the heart line, and it'll teach you. You can look on the internet for the rest of your life and you will not understand this stuff if you don't do it, if you don't experience your energy body. When your Earth Star chakra is functioning and strong and healthy, you will be placed in the location on the planet where you can best accomplish your purpose work. This is very exciting to me because I want to know from you all, and you can let me know in the chat for those of you who are practitioners, if you work with other people, have you noticed a change in people coming to you, approaching you and saying, can you help me find out why I'm here? I have never had so many people that I never thought would ask me such a question, that I know, some of them that I know like socially that I don't know as clients, even all of a sudden reaching out to me and being like, I want to have a session and I want to understand what my life is for. I can't tell you how that thrills me, because Dolores Cannon and so many others have always said that this would be happening. People, it's happening. So if you are not sure yet what your purpose work is, which I doubt that very much. I think everyone in here has inklings. They know they're here to be of service. We're going to talk more about, by the time we get to your 9th chakra, about that soul blueprint that you have that is really helpful, where the Akashic records are held. But back to this 0 point chakra, and I hope yours is tingling. I hope you're having a transmission and an activation and a remembrance of this center just as I'm speaking of it. So your Earth Star chakra has held karmic cycles. We now have a choice to not be on a timeline of karma anymore. If we want to choose that, we can choose to no longer be bound to karma. Your Earth Star chakra holds past lives. And like we said, it holds the DNA origins. Your DNA origins that are held in that particular center in your field is different than what is held in the 8th chakra above your head. That is your star nation origins, your crystalline DNA. So you have your bloodline coming from this part. And I want you to think about those places on the planet that really draw you, the places where you feel the most connected. You might be able to really get some good information about yourself, like what has just happened to me at Serpent Mound. That happened to me in the most not contrived. I was not trying to do anything. Once again, I was not planning on doing that or trying to get any information. That's the other thing that I want to bring comfort to you. All you need to do is just be. Your soul is going to put you right where you need to be to get the next step, to get the next piece of the puzzle. Like I told you all about the portals of last year, when I ended up on the 8-8 Lionsgate portal at the very place that I have had a lot of past life memories in Asheville, Grove Park Inn. I always had those strong deja vus, and I actually lived there for a month one time in this crazy life, in this incarnation. I lived there for a month one time, but I always, up until that 8-8, I felt like I've been here and this is weird because I remember this place. Well, all of that came to fruition in the 8-8. That was the place that I lost my baby, like where my baby's remains had stayed, and there had never been any closure or completion with all that. All that came together. Timelines came crashing down and integrating. And I saw myself on all these other timelines being integrated and loving all of those versions of me, while my whole dad's side of my bloodline was under one roof and it was the full moon. I could not have orchestrated that if I tried. I tell you these stories about me, not because they're fantastical or special, because this is happening to you in your own way. And I want you paying attention where life is putting you, so that you put the pieces of the puzzle together and you heal these timelines and you begin to integrate the highest version of yourself. And before we go any further, that's another thing that I would like to focus on right now, because I do view this time that we're spending together as healing work, not just a class. I would really like for you right now to call in the highest version of yourself. There are many, many versions of you in all the dimensions. And you may know your superpower self, your highest dimensional expression, the goddess you, so to speak, the angel you, whatever. I would like for you to invite that version here into this work right now. The more you do that, and I've started doing that with my clients every session now, I do that. I call in the very highest version of both of us to be there and to do that work. If you have read in my latest book collab, The Energy Medicine Solution, I talk about that weird looking, feathery, sort of scary, sort of like a bird, sort of like an alien thing that came and sang me back in my body when I was bleeding to death. That was me. That was me. Now, after all these years and all this integration, I can just call that version of me, and things feel more powerful. I feel more effective because I know that this Evangeline on this timeline isn't the only one that I'm operating as. And when you need to call your angel to be present, the highest version of you that is a superhero or an angel, you can do that. You can do that because you are a multidimensional being. So back to this beautiful 0-point chakra that I now have access to in myself that I did not before December. And I could work on other people's, but mine wasn't really doing a whole lot. So if you are drawn to these particular places on the planet where the strengths of your ancestors can be activated, I want you to be aware of that. It can happen when you least expect it. But I want you to recall what I'm talking to you about right here. If you find yourself somewhere and you're having like a memory or just like a weird experience of like feeling like you're scooping up pieces of yourself that have been left there, this is the time. This is the time for this. And once again, to take that learner's mind and put it to rest, think of this. So I'm into all this, right? I'm like you guys. I'm always wanting to learn about how I can heal and how I can develop myself and how I can ascend and evolve. I'm constantly learning, right? Well, my brother is not. He's beautiful. He's so amazing. But he's just not, he's very different in his human design than I am. So he's not as much of an insatiable learner and like go after it like I am. He's just living his life, He's just tootling along. He's really into like homesteading and, building things and stuff like that. Well, once we had our bloodline origin experience that he and my mother were also a part of, they ended up there with me. Couldn't have made that happen if I tried. Once we had that experience, I then found out that the ley line, so that meridian that runs through Serpent Mound, it runs through every place my brother has ever lived. He just moved from Pilot Mountain. It runs through Pilot Mountain. He moved from there to Ennis, North Carolina, which is like this big. Ennis, North Carolina is nothing. He didn't have to know. You don't have to know. You don't have to understand this stuff. It's going to happen. All you have to do is be loving, be loving, and be living the absolute best life that you can. And all of this stuff is going to work itself out. That makes me very happy, very excited. This 0-point chakra is also known as the billionaire's chakra, since it does connect you to all the resources of the earth and beyond. This was a concept to me that like took me a minute to fathom. I was like, wow, I'm going to have to like expand my consciousness to like understand this. The 0-point chakra connects you to all the planets, all the dimensions, and all the resources. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I understand that completely, but I got how vast the potential is of what we can explore and what we can create when this chakra is healthy. So that's pretty exciting. And it definitely, and I will say this, it definitely does give you a deeper kinship to the mineral kingdom for sure. Because if you're somebody like me that like, I've always loved crystals and gemstones, whatever, it's like now even the minerals like have archetypal energies. And I've got some good resources for you on that too. Like if you want to learn more about iron and copper and these different allies that we can deepen relationship with through the connection that we have at the 0-point chakra. So I'm going to ask y'all just, chime in to the chat every now and again. I'll be looking at it. I have to say, for those of you who are in Next Level Healer and how gently I put in my chakra, those little chakra removal videos, the ones that I just shared on Telegram and the Facebook community, I was shocked that nobody came back and was like, what are you talking about? Back when I put those in there. And so I'd love feedback from you from when you first received that information from me. If you were just like, oh yeah, chakra removal. Yeah, sure. Or if you were like, I have no clue what she's talking about right now, I would love to know, because maybe some of you had come across chakra removal, but I'm going to give you my direct experience of what I think that they mean now when people say, I removed my chakra system. Like I told you that a client of mine said. Well, if you look at the anatomy, if you've studied the chakra system in depth, and if you've worked with me, you know that the chakras are just intersecting points of the meridians. Okay? The meridians, they are the little rivers of heavenly and earthly energy and how the circuitry of our bodies works very naturally. Meridians are natural. They are just as much a part of us as like an elbow. Like there's nothing weird about meridians. And when you're trying to make someone understand energy healing, you can usually get them on the page with you about acupuncture, because most people are like, oh yeah, acupuncture. Okay, well, we're working with the same circuitry and the same pathways and channels that acupuncturists work with. We are looking at where there's just a few of those little intersecting rivers, that's an acupuncture point. Where there's more intersections and cross a intersection of like these pathways of energy and circuits, it's a minor chakra, okay? A joint, perhaps. When you have all kinds of like highways intersecting, all different pathways of heaven and earth energy coming together to make this vortex portal, you have a major chakra. Like that's just how simple that is. And to me, that is not a system of control and manipulation that needs to be removed, as George Kavasalis states in Our Universal Journey. But what does happen, and it happens quite often because a lot of really advanced beings know how to use our energy, since we haven't. The majority of the world doesn't know that they are this like amazing electrical voltage power source. If they don't know that, then it's really easy to harness that energy and farm and put an overlay and an interface system and take it, and you have all the power to take it back. So that's the other thing. Just like I said in that little video that I sent you all, if you were able to watch, like one of them's only like 5 minutes and one's like 7 minutes if you get a chance. But I said right then and there, don't let that cause you any alarm right now, because this is yours. Every bit of this gorgeous electrical voltage, it belongs to you. So go ahead with me right now and just take ownership over anything that is not of you or for you is easily removed from your energetic field. I didn't even know that I needed to say that, and it happened anyway. So I trust. I truly trust. It would have been different if I had been looking at all that information on the internet, but I wasn't on the internet at all when all that happened to me, which probably enhanced and accelerated the fact that it could happen, that I could clean out these contraption interface systems. After removing my own, I could easily see, since I have a lot of sight, but I couldn't see them before I removed the ones on me, which is very interesting to me, but I could see an astral implant. I couldn't always tell you why it was there, but I could see, and I could douse, and I could ask and get like a full body yes or no if I had permission to remove it. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. It's very easy for me now to help someone remove something that is not of them or for them. And I want to empower you right now, not scare you about it. You have all the power. I said that in my last podcast, and I'll say it a million times. If there's one thing that I wish more people knew about energy work, is that your energy body will do what you tell it to do. It is there to serve you. Every bit of your body, your nervous system, every level of you is there to do what you want it to do, but someone has to lead it. Someone has to guide it. And hey, there are beings that have been taking advantage of how powerful a human being is, because the human beings have not known how powerful they are for the most part. That is not us. So that is the beautiful intro that I wanted to give to your Earth Star chakra so that you can begin to work with it, or if you already are working with it, you can continue to cultivate all the gifts that it has in store for you. I don't want to show you a lot of other people's pictures, but here's one, and here's like the Earth Star. I'll put my head down. The Earth Star is black. Some teachings, like after I do my own intuitive work, my own direct experience, then I'll go and I'll look at what other people have to say. And most of the time, the people just come to me, because it was very funny to me that this book collab that I did, I just didn't have time. And I was like, I can't do this. But my dowsing system kept saying 100%, you need to do this book. Well, I really think one of the people that I was supposed to connect with was Bradford, because when we first started having our author masterminds, he was like, we're not operating on a chakra system anymore of the prism, and everything has changed. We're not on the 7 chakra major center anymore. And I was like, that's true. And I know that to be true. Let's talk more. So I have enjoyed gleaning information to see how other people are presenting this information, and you can take what resonates with you and what you feel to be true for your own energetic body. But like, for instance, Bradford, he's taught in universal white time healing that everyone is now compressed into all the chakras that used to be out of body. Like you can see here, all of these. His modality teaches that now they're all inside our body. And that is the new human. There's the new human and there's the old human. There's humans on a different timeline now. I don't completely agree with that, because that's not what I'm seeing. When I work with clients, I see some people, the Earth Star chakra has moved up into the body, and the Soul Star and the ones up above that have moved down into the body. Yes, that is happening. It is happening. The chakras are all still also developing. So that's another thing that I have to like put a little disclaimer in here is I want you all journaling, and when you meditate and you're noticing changes in these energy centers, how exciting, please share with me, because that's what I'm doing now that I have enough clarity to really know that I know what I'm talking about. And I've like double checked and, spent enough time on this that I'm like, yeah, like I have something additional to say beyond the prism, beyond the 7 chakras. However, don't take anybody's word for this, please, because I really feel like we're all rapidly advancing at our own pace in a very unique manner. So yeah, I'm not going to leave that there too long, because I don't want that linear side of your mind, in the 3D to kick in and be like, I got to learn this, because you don't. So interestingly, have you made the correlation with chakras and dimensions? So the 0 point chakra and the 0 dimension. The 0 dimension is an extremely quantum place of universal oneness. It has been the place of, like we talked about, of DNA origins, karmic ties, oaths, binds, but now we have our new multidimensional blueprint. You do not have to be under the influence of karma anymore. And like I talked about with the 0 point chakra, at the 0 dimension, the possibilities are endless and the resources are infinite. The connections that we can make here on a quantum level, it's a beautiful dimension. And back to the whole purpose work thing. So this is where my bloodline came in. This is Serpent Mount. What I would like for you to do some work around your purpose work and to enhance the Earth Star chakra. We say it, we all know it. We know that spending time in nature is our solution for health and well-being. It's going to be your activation for your 0 point chakra. But honestly, it's harder to get our feet on the earth, bare feet on the earth for most of us, even though we need the nature time, it's work. We have to get it. Meditating with the trees, hiking, doing grounding exercises. Just being outside is going to further accelerate you tapping into the alignment of where you do your best work on planet Earth, and also give you that feed of your ancestors, of all the strengths and all the gifts of your ancestors. So just take a little assessment. I mean, I know for me, with the last few weeks with caregiving for somebody out of surgery, my nature time has not been what I want it to be. And a lot of healers know that they need grounding, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's happening. So for Earth Star chakra activation, it sounds like, oh, that's not very hard, but it's probably the easiest one to activate that way. And then to also be mindful and really sit with, where are you called to on planet Earth? And to allow that to happen. So I want to take you through a few of these dimensions in a way that you might not have thought about. And as I did these slides, I want to go to this one first, because here's the truth. I wanted to say this to you. There is no better dimension than another. This was difficult for a lot of people to grasp when everybody's talking about 5D, 6D, 7D. You can't leave a dimension. It is you. It is beautiful. Every dimension has like these like amazing things about them. Even 3D, even though like we hear so much bad, about like 3D, but look at 3D Earth. It's absolutely gorgeous, and we're gorgeous. Okay. So you don't leave a dimension behind to access another one. When you master that dimension and you include and embrace every single thing about that, then you transcend. You transcend by including, not leaving it all behind. And that's actually a trap. That's how a lot of people on planet Earth get manipulated. And we're going to go into that. So I just wanted to really say that and emphasize the fact that 1D, 2D, 3D, not better. What it is, though, is the lower dimensions are going to have more to do with creation. They're going to have more to do with matter and nature and material. Like I put in one of those slides, and if you all want these slides, like I'll send them to you. But the etymology of the word matter, Mother Earth. So beautiful, beautiful things about 1D that you might have not thought about before, because you are 1D. You are a 1D being. You are all of it. Okay. Lower dimensional frequencies are not less than higher dimensional frequencies. 1D is about structure. It's about structure and code in matter, structured life force energy through the crystalline grid, water, the water element, the mineral kingdom, the energy blueprints, the DNA code, the healthy aspects, the beautiful high side of 1D, stability, security, prosperity, calmness, and common sense. Okay. Shadow side of 1D. And who can relate to collectively seeing how our one-dimensional aspects of ourselves are being manipulated? Fear, panic, anxiety, financial difficulty, hopelessness, aggression. Okay. This is easy to see that one-dimensionally in a collective way, we need help, like for the collective when it comes to like our 1D reality. Okay. But if you start to think about the work that you do with water, okay, every bit of healing work you do around water or with the mineral kingdom is doing new earth architecture, is enhancing our first dimensional health and putting us more in that healthy, stable, common sense, prosperous side of the first dimension that we all are. And this also takes away that desire to just go up, 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 and not be who we are. Because what is more holy than water? You know, water is so sacred. Water is so intelligent. I want to do like a really deep workshop on healing our waters this summer, sometime this summer. But our first dimensional consciousness is really important. And so just going back to, if you connect into that 0-point chakra or your root that we're getting ready to get into, that's another thing I really need to bring out right here. You will notice, just like in the 7 major chakra system, that there's a lot of overlap with the energy centers that are near each other. So it's never going to be a like, only at the 0 point are you dealing with like these things. You're going to be wildly resourced in a magical way at your root and at your 0 point with the mineral kingdom. You know, I always say there's nothing that teaches abundance like the earth. Look at the gorgeousness of what she creates on the inside, the diamonds, gold, all of those things, and actually taking her riches, the riches from the earth, and having them near you when you don't feel prosperous. If you feel that like you are not well resourced, the perfect medicine for that is the richness of the earth. And this is all first dimensional healing. I'm going to see. Yeah. I'm going to take a little moment and just take a little stretch break. We're an hour in. And so I want you to just like have a little bit of movement if you need. Any questions? Anybody who wants to throw a question in the chat? I think it's really good to just do a little bit of somatic repatterning, you know, just do a pattern interrupt and move your body in a different way. If you've been sitting on Zoom and you're just like taking in information, it's just like, you know, just shake it out or do some spinal twists or just any little bit of Qigong style movement or stretching or breathing. Just a pattern interrupt, you know, because that's the other thing that I've really been working with lately when it comes to wealth consciousness, since we're talking about the lower dimensions, which is where our wealth consciousness lives. If we're talking about our root and our sacral and the 0 point, that's our money-making areas, solar plexus too. And those of you who have studied with me, you know about the the root to the crown, but we're going to look at it in a different way, in a dimensional way, since they're all correlating. So we'll see. We'll see how far we get tonight. I don't know, but I'm excited. I feel like we'll have to do a part 2 for sure, to not do too much. So 1D and chakra 1, first dimension, and the root. There's a correlation here, right? Okay. So these are some words that I would like for you to sit with, journal on, do some clearing around in relation to the health of your root chakra and the first dimension. Okay. So words like survival, currency, desire, greed, stability, resilience, resources. Our root is so good at self-preservation. So ways to clear out the energy of the root and to really work in that 1D space is all about one. It's all about preservation of the self, right? It's a very important dimension and portal of energy that's right there in your body. We're coming to the ones in the body. But what I would like to do is just take you a step further into sitting with those words and what comes up when you do a little bit of clearing around your associations with those words and what those words mean in your life and how they affect your root. Solfeggio frequencies is a suggestion. I mean, you can use them for every energy center, but it really works well for helping you ground to the earth, getting outside. I mean, honestly, like we say it and we know it, but are we outside enough? Beautiful things start to happen. I mean, I really feel like nature is the thing that will save us from technology and from astral implants and manipulation. Basically, if you are in nature, you cannot be manipulated energetically. You cannot. You have the strength if you are spending time in nature. So this was a proclamation that I wanted to share with you, and I hope that you will do some journaling and some meditation time around your root. I am safe and supported in the creation of my resources. I am fully resourced at all times. What I can tell you, as someone who has done healing work my whole life, my whole adult life, not having whatever I didn't have in the 0 point chakra did not allow me to connect materially to this plane. I was like, I don't know why I can't, but I just don't really care about material things. So affirming that you are fully resourced and that if there needs to be an enhancement, an adjustment, a retrieval of your energy in any of the centers, like what happened to me, just naturally, I got it back. But think about this. Think about how much work I had done for so long. And I was walking around without something that I needed in that 0 point chakra. I want you to really take that in, okay? Because sometimes we're so dang hard on ourselves. But when I scooped up that energy that has made me able to say this proclamation to you right here and it be real for me, why did it take that long? It took whatever time it took. There was nothing else I could do. But it happened. I aligned myself with what I needed. to get that energy back, and you will, can, and are too. I desire, this is one of the things that I desire the most, for healers to be well resourced. That is just a big deal to me in my heart and in my vision about seeing us move forward, because how can we help to the level that we want to help elevate the consciousness on planet Earth and make things make more sense and go to these places of evolution and unity consciousness? How can we do that if we aren't well resourced? But at the same time, just like me and that 0 point chakra, how do you know what you don't know that you don't got? Because I didn't know that I didn't have something very important in that 0 point chakra. And so my affirmation for you right here, right now, today is you came into this portal, into this sacred space that we have created together today for this reason, because you are going to be well resourced, whatever that means for your energy body, whatever that means that you need to retrieve or pick back up from your bloodline or your ancestral connections or your star origins that we're going to get into later. So just some cool things for you to focus on in terms of healing your root chakra. We talked about ascension, so I hope that you have a little bit better zoomed out concept of that than what we see a lot. What we see a lot about ascension is this whole, ooh, you don't want to be down there, ew, in the 2D and the 3D and the yuck. No, that is not how it works. What that actually does is takes you backwards and allows you to be manipulated if you are denying these pieces of yourself, these parts of yourself. This is all about acceptance. This is all about integration and empowerment. Which brings me to 2D, okay? Ooh, second dimension is where so much manipulation has been happening to human beings on planet Earth. Oh my goodness. The overlap of self-preservation. We're dealing with self-preservation at the root and at the second chakra, and hence in the second dimension. This is the dimension of duality, okay? This is where we have our biological imperative. This is where we either trust ourselves and trust those around us, or we don't trust, okay? This is where we have belonging, community, tribe. This is where we have gender, because this is about duality. This dimension is about us being good or bad, positive or negative, predator or prey, a consumer, a perpetrator. These are parts of ourselves. So when we embrace the dimension of duality, we can move forward. What's happening is there's this attempt to bypass duality and push against and resist the fact that, yes, we are predator and or prey at different times because we are two-dimensional beings. And that's not easy for a lot of spiritually inclined people. They don't want to accept that. And they also sometimes don't want to even accept that there are genders in the second dimension. And what that does is it's almost like it keeps you stuck in a duality dimension when you push against it. From an animal's standpoint, if you look at, like, some of us have spirit animal totems that are predator or prey. When we look at their characteristics that we can embody, we do not judge them like the judgment that we put on ourselves sometimes. And so this, once again, is all about that include and transcend, and figuring out, okay, how do we bring the highest versions of ourselves to the fact that we live in a world of consumerism that preys off of lots of life forms, truly, but not assigning judgment to the dimension of duality, to accepting it like in a really grown-up way allows us to transcend it. This second chakra 2D area is where we want to release cords that have controlled us, karmic ties, anchors, anything that inhibits us from our growth and our highest good. If we embrace our predator side, along with our masculine and feminine sides, that yes, we are dualistic beings on the second dimensional level. And if we can embrace all of that into our embodiment practices, this is where embodiment, tantric, those kinds of healing practices are so important for our 2D health. Thinking about that and journaling on that, of where do we operate as prey? How do we move into accepting all those parts of ourselves? I remember a day that my friend, many of you know her, Heather Feather. She's not on here tonight, but Heather and I were talking about spiders, and I was like taking a spider out, and I was like, I don't really like to kill anything. And, you know, Heather lives on 50 acres, and she said, so matter of fact, she went, oh, I kill things every day. She's like, whether I want to or not, it's the reality of living on 50 acres of land. I'm killing things. So consumerism, you know, a big part of the shadow side and the manipulation of the second dimension. And in 2D, we do have gender, we do have a material side, we have a shadow side. And you never have to choose sides. This is like some of the manipulation that's been happening in the 2D arena of which camp do you choose? You know, do you do this or do you do that? You do not have to choose sides to survive. We have gotten ourselves on another timeline for that. So you get to align with your highest choice from moment to moment. And you do not have to choose a camp, because I can tell you, coming from a religion that practiced ostracism, excommunication, disfellowshipping, they were manipulating for control at this dimension, because you can really get people to do a lot if they think they're not going to be on the right side of survival. If they're exiled from their community, that is very damaging, and you can get people to do a whole lot of things, whether they want to do them or not. So second dimension can be an absolutely beautiful space to work in embodiment practices, cultivating healthy sexuality, tantra, really embracing your feminine and your masculine. Those are the high sides of 2D. But we are living in a world where the second dimension is used for manipulation quite a bit, and we're not falling into that, right? Here's a great proclamation for you when you're working in the second dimension aspect of yourself. My reality is transformed through pleasure. That's a huge one. It's so huge. So you can sit with that one, you can journal with that one, you can speak life into that one, and see where that one takes you. Here's some good clearing prompts when you're working to clear on 2D and clear in the second chakra area. Trust of self, trust of others, like we talked about. Worthiness, deserving, pleasure, safety, security, creation. How do those words make you feel? These prompts are going to give you clues about where you want to work energetically, like on what dimensional level of you and in what energy center. That's what these are for, what I wanted to include these for. And what we're going to do in this next round of Next Level Healer is we're going to go into doing big time dimensional clears to make sure that you're really operating on the highest side of every dimension and working with what you got in the most embodied, embracing all parts of you kind of way. And I wanted to put this here because think about, this finally made sense to me when I started working with the 2D aspects of ourselves. Look at the control that has to do with weird, distorted sexual things that happen, like say, you know, in Catholicism, okay? When duality is denied, like if people want to be like, we're not even going to act like Jesus was conceived, like we can't go there. And then there's all this distortion with sexuality and control in Catholicism and how they have dominated the globe at some, that is a great example of a 2D manipulation. So we transcend that. We know in this timeline that we're on is you do not have to choose a side for survival about anything. And this like getting stuck in a 2-dimensional thing, I could talk on this forever because you will relate to this when I say, think about all the gurus, whether it's yoga gurus, plant medicine people that end up doing predator prey stuff sexually. And they're supposed to be in the healing, like they're supposed to be in the healing arts. And it happens over and over. I mean, if you've seen the documentary on Bikram or all over the place, it shamans, you know, dark shamans who manipulate and end up sleeping with, like, you know, all the people. That's this getting stuck in a 2-dimensional distortion. And it is used all the time. So when you're aware of that and your eyes can be wide open to, oh my gosh, that's like a control tactic. It doesn't work. It doesn't work on somebody who's really embodying the very highest version of their duality, of really embracing embodiment and cultivating their sexual energy in the highest way, and also totally loving and integrating their masculine and their feminine. So that's a soapbox I could talk on for a long time, but it is the shadow side of 2D, and everything has a high side and a shadow side. All right. So here we are at 3D. 3D gets a bad rap, but it's actually a really cool place too. It's the place that our Earth has currently been vibrating in, a 3D space. She is evolving as we are. And if you have felt really strange, or if things have been difficult, especially this month, growing pains are hard, and we are shifting with her, with planet Earth. But there's been a lot of really great things that third dimension gives us, and we're not going to quit being a third dimensional being. So just know that. When I was getting ready to leave a relationship and I was working with an astrologer, and I wanted some like zoomed out perspective on what was happening in that relationship that I was getting ready to leave. And the astrologer, she's a wonderful friend. She's very, very intuitive. And she said, you two are just working in different dimensions. She said, he's here to help out in the chaos of 3D. And you are here to help people make the shift into a more 5D, 6D consciousness living. And I was like, am I going to die? I was like, that's what I thought at that time that meant, you know, like if I was helping people in 5 or 6D, does that mean I was going to die? So it's like, we're learning more about these dimensional aspects of ourselves all the time. But 3D, all about identity, measurement, separation, opposites, social status, possessions, judging things based on physical attributes, intelligence level, fear of missing out, scarcity. Those are some shadow sides of 3D. Instead of looking at money as this holy resource, sometimes in 3D, we can get blocked and we can get locked into a third dimensional limitation of not being aware that we can create with our mind. That's easy to forget. And it's easy to get locked into not remembering that our thoughts influence matter. And that's the reality of being a multidimensional being. And for people who are only living in the lower dimensions, it can be a very surface, robotic existence, very anxiety ridden if we're just living in 3D. That is no one in here, I'm happy to say. So when we get to this point in our development, we get to ask ourselves, are we going to stay in the separation? Are we going to stay in the separation of male, female, political parties, religions, you name it? There's a separation, sports. I mean, it's all separateness. Or do we utilize the third dimension to develop our ego and understand our free will and our choices so that we can move into unity consciousness? That is what every single one of you has done, because we realize the impact that our ego has and our thoughts have and the choices that we make here in this dimension. So this is not a bad place to be. This is a part of who we are. Your solar plexus holds war consciousness. It holds your inner warrior. It holds your light. It holds your power. It's how you radiate your power out into the world. So what I would like to invite you to do in terms of your 3D consciousness, your 3D reality, and your solar plexus is release anything that is not in the highest relation to the version of yourself that you want to be. Because we form these identities here. Like by the time we've evolved up to the solar plexus and we're in 3D consciousness, we've created a lot of different identities, archetypal roles that we play, and they're protection mechanisms. And they come from ego, even the good ones, even I'm the healer archetype, or I'm the rescuer, or whatever it is. This is the point that we get really honest with ourselves about what identities maybe we've created that need to be deconstructed at this time as we're moving into this new timeline. We're moving away from karma, from karmic entanglement. So your inner warrior can be a beautiful, high expression of you, a warrior for righteousness, a warrior for unity consciousness, for all kinds of things. You get to decide how that's going to play out at the third dimensional level. But I hope that you all start to embrace all these parts of you. I know for a lot of healers that, like in 2D duality, the predator prey, that's not easy. It's just not. But even notice the games that people play in dating that are totally like that, where they're either in that prey role, like, oh, I want to be sought after or whatever, or they're just used to being in that predatorial role. When we observe and can just like be honest about all these little games that we play here in this life, in this incarnation, we can move forward. We can move forward in that unity consciousness. So here's a really helpful proclamation for your solar plexus. I maintain integrity by being radically responsible and accountable for who I show up as every day. I decide which archetypal roles serve me to play, and I let go of the other identities. That's powerful. And I'm hoping that some of these will be great journaling prompts for you to go deeper, to go further. Because let me tell you how easy this is to do energy work, right? clearing out any of these chakras, any of the ones that we've talked about so far. Clearing them out is as simple as working with these issues that surround them. It's as simple and easy as paying attention to them. Many things might begin to shift tonight because I'm giving you a transmission related to these dimensions and these energy centers, and that's what you can do with the people that you serve. You have so much more ability and access now to help people in a remote way. And that's what I'm all about. I want to teach you all how to not be limited by time and space, to serve in whatever way that you are here to serve. And let me tell you something. Now that we're here to the solar plexus, it brings out my warrior, because I get so fiery about you being aligned with your purpose work. And whatever your purpose work is, it does not matter if it's feng shui, if it's yoga, if it's coaching, if it's healthy food, it makes no difference what lights you up, but you being in your purpose work fully aligned and lit up in your purpose work now. We need you to do that. We need it now. It's go time with everything that has changed over the course of the last year. So what I want to do now, I knew that there was no way I could go all the way tonight, but what a lot of you were really fascinated by and interested in is the different modalities that you can work in the different dimensions. So I wanted to go through your earthly, more material-based energy centers, at least tonight. And then I want to talk about modalities and techniques and how we hop around in and out of all this dimensional consciousness as multidimensional healers. Okay, for those of you who have already taken Next Level Healer, did you get the method to my madness? Because I was giving you specific chakra information and specific dimension information along with a taste for a modality that works in that realm. Okay, now these of course are going to overlap into the dimensions on either side. Of course they are, just like the chakra system does. But some of you are big time water stewards and you feel the call, like I do, to really heal the waters of the earth and heal ourselves at the same time. I feel so strongly about that. And it was interesting at Steve's church, his pastor was talking about how the very first thing that's spoken of is like God moving over the waters in the Old Testament. And it's basically like his pastor was basically saying that God is water, you know. And so that right there eliminates any hierarchy of the dimensions. So if you are being a water steward and if you are doing energy work with your water, there's no better place that you could be doing healing work. And it's one-dimensional consciousness, and it's important. And we need that kind of work. We need crystal healing. I'm going to have some water right now. Cheers. Working with the crystal family and understanding them better, you're going to have way more of a capacity to understand how to use your crystal friends. Minerals, the minerals that make up your body, the precious metals of the earth. There's a great account on Instagram called Mineral Shaman, and he goes deeply into those archetypal energies of like iron being like a king energy, and copper being like a queen. And he talks about how they need each other and how all of the minerals in the body work in community, and we have to work with them in community. And I think he even has a card deck like around the minerals and periodic table or something like that. But these are ways that you can really connect in with 1D and embrace the fact that like there's a lady, I've given her new book, The Secret Intelligence of Water. She's taken Emoto's work and expanded on it. So her name is Veda Austin. If you're a big Emoto fan, you will love The Secret Intelligence of Water. And so those are some ways that you can really cultivate healing in the first dimension. 2D, we see a lot of embodiment practices now. We see a lot of womb, goddess healing, sexual healing, sex magic. I love Mantak Chia and his Taoist feminine energy cultivation. There's lots of teachers and coaches now doing jade egg practices, tantra. That would definitely be the high side of the duality of 2D. And there's also men's groups now, and not just around like womb healing and goddess energy, but I'm so, I don't know if Gavin came on tonight or not, but Gavin has a men's group, a men's healing group. And I think that's phenomenal. So those are examples of 2D consciousness in the high side, the healing work of 2D. In the next level healer modules, the first modality that I give is polarity, which works in the 3D. It works in the separation. This is where I got my start in energy work, because I was definitely in the third dimension big time. Not all the time. I had my moments of flipping in and out, like I was reading you in the foreword that I wrote in Dale's book. You will bounce back and forth, but polarity really, it was easy enough for me to understand that we're just the poles of a battery, and we're negative and positive poles, and we're all feminine and masculine. And that makes a lot of sense in terms of everything we just talked about 3D is all about. So polarity therapy is a tried and true energy healing method that works. It's in the intro to it is in the Next Level Healer course, because I've given a lot of them for you to try on for size, see what you like, and see what works. See what really works for you. Fourth dimension. So I do want to do a bit of 4D. I want to briefly go into 4D in this one, and then we're going to start there in our part 2. But those of you who have ever been in a session, like whether you're receiving energy work or whether you're giving energy work, and you know when a non-physical presence is there, that most of the time you're in the fourth dimension, okay? It could be an angel. It could be a fifth dimensional psychic surgeon. There's different things that can be happening, but on the fourth dimension is where the chakra system lives. So our chakra system, the meridians of the body, that is a 4D experience. So if you can connect in with the chakras, if you're doing Barbara Brennan's chelation work, I put Reiki because Reiki is definitely going to overlap into like 4, 5, and 6. I feel like depending on what you're doing, because there's lots of different things you could be doing in Reiki. But when people are doing level 1 or they're doing Seikhem, and they're just kind of like putting their hands on, and they're allowing the energy just kind of flow and go where it does. And they're like, ooh, I feel this color, or I'm feeling this happen or this happen. That's typically a fourth dimensional experience. Of course, you can't nail any of this stuff down as black and white, because every time you're in session, it's going to be its own unique adventure. But you can get a pretty good idea, like healing touch. That's basically a fourth dimensional experience. This is what's so cool about the more you grow and the more you learn. You start realizing that you have all these other levels and layers of anatomy, that the chakras are not the end all. They are not, wow, like the highest order of business that you've got to tend to. When you go to the higher dimensions, the closer to source, the closer to spirit. Lower dimensions, the closer to creation. Okay. They're all good. There's no wrong place to be. The more you know, the more effective you are, and the more tools that you have. So, like I said, these are not hard and fast rules. These are just suggestions for where you are. But the thing about 4D is almost like a bridge, just like the fourth chakra is this gorgeous connecting place where we can do so much. But in fourth dimension, you have all types of non-physical beings. You can have benevolent, helpful ones, or you can have not so helpful ones. So fourth dimension is a funny little place. And I will say that the government and the forces that have controlled things on planet Earth for a long time that are no longer in control, they have really known how to use the fourth dimension for manipulation and control of human beings. So that's another area where we're waking up. And if you look at all the symbols and frequency that's been used upon humans, and that's what's so interesting to me, kind of like going back to the whole astral implant overlay thing. Many beings and people have known about all of this stuff. It's not new. It's so interesting to me that it's almost like the good-hearted people who are here to serve are just catching up to what's been known by the control forces like for a long time. And now we get to use all this information. We have the knowledge, we have the power, and we know how we want to use it. We want to use it to help humanity, to help planet Earth and all the inhabitants and all our family members on it. So fourth dimension is an interesting place. I will say this. You see a lot of healers that use modalities in 4D, and it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be healthy or prosperous if they don't move forward in their own evolution and understand that 4D is not the end. It's not the whole story. It's just a part of our energetic anatomy, but the chakra system is affected by your 5D anatomy and your 6D anatomy. Like your heart line lives on the fifth dimension, and everything that happens with your heart line is feeding into and affecting your chakras, and everything that happens there at the chakra system is feeding into your organs, because you're just a Russian doll with all these layers. So the point of me showing you this is you may see where you've hung out. You may see where you're really good at some of these modalities, where you want to go for a more well-rounded, complete understanding of how to play in all these realms, because that's what it is. I mean, it's play, right? In your sixth dimensional body, you have your light body or your Merkaba. You can study different techniques to learn how to activate that and how to use your sixth dimensional energetic anatomy. I have taught the Awaken the Light Body course for a long time. I love John Below Melchizedek. I don't think there's a wrong way to get there. I think you just have to find out what resonates with you so that you can understand and get to know your sixth dimensional self, which is beautiful. Your 6D light body is going to be with you way long after your physical body is gone. And when you get to 7D, a lot of you resonate so much with sound and harmonics. And that's the modalities of the seventh dimension. When I talked to you about my near-death experience, that was a 7D experience where I got sang back in my body. And as that version of me, another version of me on the timeline was singing me into my body, I felt what it was like to be in my body for the first time through that seventh dimensional sound and frequency experience. So these are all such juicy modalities. I mean, you could spend a lifetime on any of these. And that's kind of what I do in Next Level Healer is I introduce a lot of these to you, but we're going further than that this time. We're going into these dimensional clears and we're clearing out each chakra, where what I had done before is give you the information and give you meditations and activations for the chakra. But I want to go even deeper to make sure that you're fully equipped to use everything that you've got. So this is interesting because shamanism is the first course that I ever made. And if you are drawn to work on the shamanic realms, you are in the 8th dimensional space, which is the soul star. Okay. Funny thing, if you are already traveling between the worlds and the realms, and you're already bending matter and time in shamanic practice, you're already in 8th dimensional healing. Okay. And that is so fun. It's so expansive. It's my favorite place to hang out, really. And I put Huna in there because Huna is very shamanic and it's very open and flexible. Not quite sure on that one. And the most interesting one that I had to douse on was dowsing, because I was like, I don't really know. So I started asking my dowsing system, what dimensions does dowsing help on? And the answer was very interesting. Dowsing works between the Earth star and the soul star. So everything in between the 0 point and the 8th dimensional center. So all that 1 to 7D consciousness, dowsing works in those realms. I didn't know. And if you get something else on that, I'm more than happy to, I'm more than open to other viewpoints and perspectives on that, because I have no point of reference for that, just my own dowsing system. So back to my love, shamanic journeying, working with the fairies, working with the angels, the animal spirits, the plant spirits, the elementals, the Devic kingdom. At the 8th chakra, you are rewriting law. You are changing DNA. You are bending matter and time. You are working in that 8D consciousness information field to manifest and manipulate matter. So I put moonstone so I would remember to go back to Bradford's chakra layout for the palms. In Bradford's teachings of the new chakra system, the extraterrestrial beings that came up with all of that in universal white time, they say to hold the moonstones in your hands to work with manipulating matter and working with matter in the way that you want to. I just wanted to tell you how excited I am to think of really activating each one of us, our soul star, and you working in that magic. And so that's why I gave you a suggested proclamation here. I am open to the gifts and the beauty that the supernatural and mystic holds for me. I trust in my ability to manifest and manipulate matter in the way that I desire. Sit with that one for a minute with me, please. And tell me how that makes you feel. Do you have a lot of resistance to thinking that you could manipulate matter? Or are you like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm there. Because you can. And I don't think that this, it was possible before those transformational portals that we went through last year, but not as easy as it is now. And I'll never forget on that 8/8 Lionsgate portal when the soul that had incarnated to me as my baby was able to communicate with me and be a healing ally in my work after that beautiful opening of the Lionsgate. She made it very clear to me that she hadn't come back. I had just finally energetically leveled up to work with her and have her be a coworker in my healing sessions. She also told me very specifically she did not like the name Lily, which is very interesting. And I still can't pronounce her name. It starts with an S, but it's like really long, and I keep trying to get it. But it was that feeling of, I've finally gotten to the level that she was on. That's where we are now. And what was given to me in that 8-8 portal was for healers, for light workers, and people who are here as volunteers to be of service to this planet. Things are not going to be as hard for us anymore. Things are not going to be as challenging. And I'm just like, yes. So I want you just creatively, imaginatively to play around with this soul star energy above your head, and to know that you've already been operating in these realms. Of course, this isn't like, this is what I love too about sharing this information with you now. I'm so confident to tell you that you don't need a certification and you don't need a class. You're already doing all this. All I'm doing is explaining to you what you've been doing. That's it. So we're not in those linear timelines anymore, but you are able to manifest and create magic. And this is the area of your body that you're doing that above the head. You need the earth star and the soul star working together. Clear and communicative between the two. So you've got that 0 point soul or earth star going, and you've got the 8th chakra soul star, because here we are up here. We're connecting you to your star nation origins, to your off planet crystalline DNA. You want that totally activated. So you know where you came from in terms of the stars, and you know where you come from your bloodline origination point on the earth through Gaia. You need both to be really effective. Now, I wanted to complete with a teaser for 9D because I have just recently cleared and activated my 9th chakra, and it changed everything about my access to the Akashic records, my understanding of these 3 karmic blueprints, that we each are going to have one of these in a big way that's held in the 9th chakra, along with all the skill sets of every lifetime we've ever had. When the 9th chakra is healthy and strong and activated, you can pull from every skill and talent you've ever learned on any timeline in any lifetime. And that's going to make this lifetime the best that there's ever been. So that's where we're going. We're going to go from 9, but we're also going to do all like the in-depth dimensional stuff like in our next little 2-hour segment. But I had to tell you that when my 9th chakra cleared, I realized my lifetime that I was in the factory where my office is now, and it was a furniture factory in the 20s. And so all of that 1920s stuff that I was doing around this area, I got a lot more clarity on that. And the 9th chakra, 9th dimension, is the place of spiritual law violations. Like when we're working out, if there's been a violation of spiritual law and we've come back here to tend to that, we could be here for our own violation of spiritual law, like I am, but I'm also here to help Austin with his. Steve is more of a I guess I'll use the word neutral, bringing us both together. Like, it's not about him working out cosmic community service, so to speak. But what happened when my ninth chakra cleared and activated very recently was this understanding and empowerment of why my office is in that olfactory and everybody in there, and how I relate to them and how I've been with them before in such an empowering way, not in a heavy, oh, I have to do this kind of way. Not at all. I could see it from the soul perspective of my desire, my deep desire to grow spiritually and to help and to leave this place where my healing office is, where we're getting ready to have Raymond come and do the class. It makes it even that much more special for me that I'm going to leave it better than I found it. And that's very empowering. So if you find yourself in a particular location in this world and you're like, why am I here? I know I'm here for some reason, and maybe I had some karmic debt. Elaine, Raymond's coming on Earth Day, April 22nd and April 23rd. He'll be here for 2 days. And my magical manifestation on that is that there's been an event center in that factory under construction for 14 years. It's been the vision of my landlord. Okay. And this center is going to rent for $3,000 to $4,000 just for a weekend to have your wedding there. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I always saw that we were going to do this there. And it feels like a culmination of this. Well, I can honestly say, like, there is no more violation of spiritual law for me with certain business practices and a manipulative, abusive use of my magical relationship with tobacco in the 20s, a distorted relationship that had to do with greed. I am so open. I'm an open book. I mean, you can ask me anything about it because I have no problem telling you that I came back here to polish up this little corner of the world where I hadn't been on the right side of the relationship of tobacco and how sacred that plant is. So that's a little bit about me and what I saw. But when that ninth chakra opens and clears, the understanding that you have of why you are wherever you are and who you're with, it is so empowering. And so I just wanted to tell you all the abilities that are going to come where you can access all of those skills that are stored there from every lifetime that is going to enhance your life in so many ways. And you can think about your dominant blueprint of whether it's creator, teacher, or healer. It lives there. It lives there, and it's really strong, wanting to guide you into your purpose work at 9D. So this is where we're going with all this information. I'm doing things very differently in this next level healer this time around. So for any of you who have already taken the course is always open for you as it changes. My goal with doing these courses is that you strongly feel this is the best investment you've ever made in your life, because it keeps giving. It keeps enhancing and refining your abilities. And I want you all accessing your superpowers more than ever now. So we'll have to find another time for another little 2-hour moment. I didn't know how I was going to impart all this, and I could talk to you for 5 more hours right now because I'm so excited about all this. But I think that this is enough for you to digest at the moment. And I'd love to have some feedback. If anybody has questions and you want to come off now, Feel free to come off mute. Feel free to ask me anything or put it in the chat. And if everybody's cool or you need to digest, then I'm really hoping that y'all are going to do some beautiful ritual and self-care and exciting healing things for the spring equinox tomorrow. I love it that we got to do this to kick off spring equinox energy. I hope this is giving you some good things to work on. And yeah, we kick off weekly trainings for Next Level Healer on April 17th. So if any of you haven't taken it and you really want to deepen your understanding of your energy anatomy, that's what that's for. It's for getting you so equipped and prepared to do energy work, whether it's remote or whether it's in person, but ultimately understanding yourself energetically the most. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Astrude. I want to thank my alums for coming on because they believed in me and they took a chance on my very first launch of Next Level Healer. And I love y'all so much. I thank you for being there in the birth of this course. Yeah. And if anybody has other questions, I love y'all. Happy equinox. Let me know. Yay, Chelsea. Woo! Eye-opening. I'm so glad. On what dimension, eye-opening on what dimensions you work on the most. Love this. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful night.